Verification of posting when you get a chance, Angela.
The agenda was posted at City Hall, State Bank of Arcadia, Arcadia TV on the city website by 4 p.m. yesterday.
All right, we have City Council as a 12-item agenda. I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Feltus, second by Mazak. Comments or questions? Clerk will call the roll.
Mazak,
Yes.
Colstead,
Yes.
Conrad.
Yes.
Feltus.
Yep.
Motion carries.
And need a motion to approve the agenda. Motion by Killian, second by Ron. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried.
We're just gonna go through the first couple of quick things we got. Rowland will get up to 8A.
Sounds good.
Number 3, presentations. We have none. Old business, approval of meeting minutes from October 2nd. And entertain a motion. Motion by Conrad, second by Feltus. Comments or questions? Clerk will call the roll.
Colstead.
Yes.
Conrad.
Yes.
Feltus.
Yep.
Mazak.
Yes.
Motion carries. Approval of meeting minutes for the special meeting on October 9th.
So moved.
Motion by
Second.
Feltus, second by Mazak. Questions or changes? Clerk will call the roll.
Feltus.
Yes.
Mazak.
Yes.
Colstead.
Yes.
Conrad.
Yes.
Board and commission updates, none scheduled. Department updates and public hearings, none scheduled either. 8A, employee benefits. 1, discussion of possible action on the 2020 health insurance renewal. Ted, you wanna take it?
I will, thank you.
Yep.
Kind of incorporate all of those items, because I guess my understanding based on some of the prior meetings is that some of the health insurance benefits will be, and the wages for 2020, kind of fit together as one lump. I would assume that there's
That's what we talked about last time, so
a
yes.
little bit of stuff there, so, I don't have a lot of new information for the health insurance, information. I was really kind of hoping to, be able to get some information on, a select few group of employees if the council decided and the commission decided to move health insurance over to a state plan. I don't have those numbers for you, unfortunately. So I guess I'm kind of where I'm at. Reimbursement, the health reimbursement plan designs, I guess, because if we do stay with the WEH Rust, we know that the deductibles will be increasing to 1,000, 2,000. We kind of need some guidance from the councils and the commission as far as funding those HRAs into those deductibles, or do we keep it at the current levels that we're at?
A reminder of the current levels, so everybody knows.
Current levels right now is we're funding $250,500 with up to $500 of non-reimbursable.
There's no cap.
Or no cap on non-reimbursables. So,
What does that mean, no cap on non-reimbursable?
so that would be like your co-insurances, doctor's visits, emergency room. There's a portion of those fees that are reimbursed back to the employee. Medication, prescriptions, that kind of thing.
Okay.
I guess I would, part of the budget, I guess I would propose that maybe we look at, upping those a little bit to maybe compensate a little bit for the higher deductibles and the premiums that we have moving forward if we stay with WEA.
Do we have where they can do flex spending out of their check?
Yes.
The employees can?
That is an option as well.
Pre-tax.
Pre-tax dollars?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
So again, with both council and the committee here tonight, I guess, so we can start moving forward as far as putting budget numbers together and getting ready for next year for employee benefits, I guess.
Well, if we don't know what, I guess, not to interrupt you, Chad, but I think what we took out of last week's meeting is if we don't know where those 6 employees go and where they fall, we're gonna have to stay status quo for now. That's my personal opinion, because we don't know, we can't leave 6 employees without insurance. And we don't know what those 6 employees' rates would be. As much as I don't wanna see a deductible go up for the employees, and I don't wanna see a deductible us try to put more in. I mean, I think we have to try to put more in to help out the employees, but with the not knowing of 6 employees and those 6 people's, possibly their families, just not something I'm comfortable playing with.
I agree with you 100%.
And I think that's what we kinda talked about last time, and if we have no new information, I think we have to stay status quo, and we have to figure out how we can help them.
In my opinion though, if the employee's gonna end up paying more for their insurance, above and beyond what we were thinking for a raise needs to be put onto their pay. Cause we got good employees, I don't think we should have them going backwards.
So would you rather see us increase the deductible, or just increase the pay straight across for everyone? Cause there are employees that don't take insurance.
Make more sense to the
What,
patient.
what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying? And say, okay, we're gonna increase we're gonna pay a higher portion instead of 250 and 500, say we're gonna do 500 and 1,000, we add that in as part of our payroll. It's like Raleigh said last time, you know, when the teachers gave that up and gave into insurance and was taken away, that was what they lost out of. So
Right.
that's why I'm asking that question.
Do we know how much per hour that is, if that increase goes up?
We could
We could
Well,
probably
we could figure it out
figure
pretty
that out.
darn close.
If you are, if you have family coverage and it's a $2,000 deductible and the employee had to pay the entire amount, that's almost $1 an hour, if you work 2,080 hours.
If we were to fund the whole thing.
If you funded the whole thing,
We did do calculations that, I guess my proposal would be that both utility and the council would, at a minimum, fund up to $2,500 for family, $1,500 for single. And what that would do is help cover the deductible, and it would also cover some of those reimbursable expenditures. We'd be looking from a budget standpoint, really not a huge jump. We budget $5,000 now for that type of expense for the HRA. We figured that it would be jumping to
16,000.
16,000
For the general
for the
fund.
general fund,
Portion.
for the general fund portion only. Obviously, there'd be some increase on the utility side, but that would make sure that our employees at least had it virtually would be a zero deductible plan with some added benefit there.
But that didn't answer my question. My question was, do we want to do that separately or include that into an overall package as $1 per hour wage increase? Because then you're covering employees that don't take insurance, which is really a benefit to the city where you're not paying out those amount of dollars. And if they don't take the insurance, you kinda SOL, they're not getting the same raise as the rest of the
I agree,
employees.
yep.
You could also do a hybrid where you had a stipend for employees that don't take insurance. And, you know, funding, if you funded an HRA, not 100% of employees will ever hit that HRA. So it kind of depends on what level, like, the council wants, where, you know, you budget worst case scenario, but, you know, we found over the last, you know, how many years that we've always budgeted, you know, a certain amount for the HRA, and it always spends less.
Right, and that was kind of my next segment into that, is although we would be budgeting 16,000, statistically, you're probably only gonna spend about 25 to 30% of that as a whole anyways. So, but you're budgeting worst case scenario. So I think you could still justify some type of percentage or a dollar figure raise to help compensate the offset of the higher premiums, which are, and we know at this point is gonna be 8.5% minimum. I think both councils and the commission feel that it's important that the employees don't feel like they're going backwards when it comes to their take-home pay. At least I hope anyways. But I don't know which is the more important thing to anybody. I mean, if you had to choose one, which one would it be? I don't know that answer. I can't speak for every employee.
Well, the council doesn't have any control over the insurance rates going up.
Right. But we have to just do our best to try finding the most feasible, the lowest cost. That's why I think we have to go back to the board, and if WEA isn't the answer for next year, where some rates aren't going that way, you know, we have to figure out what we can do with these other 6 employees and try to bring them all in. Yeah,
Right,
I
but
I know what you're saying. Yeah, we're not the only ones dealing with this.
right,
Every
right,
company in the US is dealing with this.
And I know it's a lot to ask right now, and insurance companies do this for a reason. They don't put those rates out in time for anybody to make informed decisions in a reasonable, rational amount of time. But I did contact a contact I had back in La Crosse, who does sell insurance. Kind of gave him a little rundown of asking what if we were to go to the marketplace with somebody in a single plan, on a single plan with a deductible. He said it'd be about $450 a month premium. Right now, WEA is at $950. So I think there's a good chance that if we were to run those numbers in the marketplace for those few employees, whether or not it's this year or next year, I think we can get pretty reasonable insurance at a probably a lesser cost.
What was the coverage in 80/20?
He didn't give me that complete full. He quoted me what he thought would be 1,000, 2,000 comparable plan. Now, I don't know if it was an 80/20 or if it was 100% after deductibles. That I don't know. Again, part of the reason why they don't put those rates out for us, so we kind of get.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, but I think we're too late in the game to do any research and fool with people's insurance on a whim. I just don't think that's fair or right.
No, and I agree.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, but I think we just start on that, you know, start 2020 right away, that we get on that we're not in this position, that we know what's spelled out, so when they come out with the rates, they say they're 10% or 15%, we have a different avenue to go.
Right.
That's my thing.
Anybody got anything to say? Oh, we're all listening, I guess.
Well, I mean, so the main question is how do we want to
Move forward.
move forward? Do we want to increase the deductible, and how much do we want to put in to help out the employees? And do we want to broad brush it as $1 per hour or separate it? I guess is the main thing. What are your opinions? I mean, I said what my opinion is.
I'd give a dollar amount, and not monkey with their, insurance portion, let them absorb that, but give them a dollar amount. Then those that don't have insurance through the company or through the city will still get their benefit. That's my thought.
I agree with that. Start the other 6 that aren't.
We have 6 and how many employees do we have that
Don't have insurance,
at all
don't take.
with us?
Okay, without, probably 4 to 5.
And if they all took insurance, that's.
Oh, I understand.
And I mean, just because they don't have insurance here, doesn't mean that their
Their
spouse's
spouse,
insurance isn't going up. I mean, it more than likely is.
Probably is, yeah.
It ain't going down.
Unless they have it from another source, country or
My
whatever.
personal feeling is you almost have to do both, because on the flip side of things, if you're only doing $1 percentage and leaving the onus of any additional premiums or deductibles on the employees with the health insurance, me as a family, if I'm only getting 500 of my 2,000 deductible, I'm now having to cover $1,500, which is almost $1 an hour difference that now I'm having to cover compared to somebody that doesn't doesn't have our insurance. They're not ever gonna feel that
Right,
difference.
but the employee that doesn't have the insurance isn't costing us whatever the premium is to begin with.
Right. And I don't know, is it customary, we do have some employees here, is it customary to open this up to?
Yeah, if you guys
If
have
anybody has
questions,
any
comments,
questions, comments?
concerns?
Can I make one as an employee, not as the city clerk?
No.
Turn around and face backwards.
I've never let you not talk.
From a parent who has 4 teenagers, or 3 teenagers and a 20-year-old, you know, I've maxed out what we can for section 125 for the last 5 years for braces. I'm not done taking care of what I need to for braces. So, you know, on the offset, if we, you know, we suddenly get more in our paycheck, but, you know, I'm having to come up with a $2,000 deductible. In addition to, I usually max out at, you know, $2,500 on my pre-tax. I'm suddenly, you know, I'm taking out the max I can on pre-tax, but that's gonna go to my deductible. So, you know, anything that I have to pay for braces or dental that I could have pre-tax before, I'm suddenly now just having to pay that after tax.
Cause by law, it's only what, 2,500?
Yeah, they capped that like 5 years ago.
Yeah, and that's not a lot when you're dealing with braces.
No.
It goes fast.
No, any kind of medical, it's not a lot, you know. I don't envy you folks, I mean, to have to parse all the different needs that the employees have, the healthcare, what it is in our nation, and the way financially they can promise you they're gonna get a handle on it, but it never seems to happen, you know. I'm very happy with the coverage that we have, you know. Like Angela said, through the years with my wife and now some ailments with me, we've been taking the complete 2,500. When that went from 5,000 to 2,500, I had 5,000 when the kids were having dentures, braces. You know.
You must be looking at those now.
Exactly. That's why Ian's teeth are so nice. You know, it's challenging. You know, and how you split that out with employees that don't have insurance with the cities and compensate them equally. It's tough.
I guess with myself, I'm just frustrated that the 5 or 6 that decided not to take the state retirement now affects us from not getting state health insurance. They had a choice, and now they're making a choice for myself and my family not to have better insurance. And that's the part. I mean, I understand completely where you guys are coming from, where everyone needs to be covered, but yet, it stinks. They had a choice, but we don't.
We all didn't have a choice. I don't have it, and I was told I couldn't get it because I'm already on retirement. So I had to stay with the plan we had, so I had no choice. You know, I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, there are those of us that weren't given an option either. So I can't pay in and draw retirement at the same time, to the same,
Entity.
right?
At the time when that was proposed, I don't believe that we were considering going to state health insurance plan at any time, were we? Was that ever brought up? When they talked about that, it was just the retirement part, not
Not the insurance.
not ever the insurance, that ever, not
I
ever
believe you're
did
right.
the insurance come up.
And I don't know, that was before my time.
Well, I
So
can
I wanna say it was
barely remember
probably
that.
5. So that's gonna be a long time ago, 5 or 6 years ago, I'm guessing. It wasn't long
No,
before.
it was 2011 and 2018 is when we went with this.
Right.
You know, at the time that we switched over to WRS, it's only been.
Oh, the retirement.
The retirement only. You know, the consortium was doing well. That's not even something that I, as an employer, when I called WRS and they walked us through getting all of our employees signed up, and the employees had the right to waive or to take WRS. That never even came up. I would have thought that would have come up in the conversation when they switched us over, and it didn't. And so, I guess not knowing that real well, that's not something that I passed on to the employees, because at the time I didn't know about it.
So, to move this along, do we want to fund it up to a certain portion of the deductible and then give a raise? Do it all encompassing? Or do we wanna look at some of those employees that don't have insurance and give them more of a $1 per hour raise? mean, at any time, they could come onto our plan, which would be a huge cost to us. And I don't wanna cater to certain employees, I don't wanna sound like that. However, if they start to come on, that's a huge hit to our budget as well. Cause what does a family cost the city? Family plan,
About 19,000.
right? So if you help them out by $1,000 or something, that's a far cry.
If you,
And they still could, I mean, that's the gamble you take.
and if you chose to do that, I know other municipalities, they just offer a, I don't know if they call it a stipend or something. So
Opt-out.
if Angela doesn't take insurance one of 20, and then, decides, you know, a few months later, spouse loses insurance or needs to get on there, if you set it up as a stipend where you get this because you're opting out of insurance, at any point you come on to insurance, the stipend goes away. One way to do it.
Well, I think that's what we'd have to look into it. Raleigh, what are you thinking?
Really can't, what I'm thinking I can't say.
Okay.
It's me.
Now you got my mind going.
Yeah, right. Is this something that has to be decided tonight?
Well, it would have to be decided, if we stay, actually, we wouldn't have to decide because we're already in the plan, so we wouldn't have to opt in, we would still stay with the WEA.
But I would
As
think
far
that-
as the wages and stuff like that, we have to start moving on that, cause we wanna finish budget-wise rather
Which
quickly,
part of
so we
this is
can.
part of that wage package or could be.
Right.
We're actually hoping we can meet again next week for preliminary budgets that we can start to publish, so we can get our, budget hearing done, third week of November, before everybody starts going out and hunting and
Everybody
everything
has more
else,
time
so.
off.
It's all about
Glenn.
hunting.
Go ahead, Ron.
John was first.
Oh. Jeez.
This might sound a little rough coming from an employee, but if somebody chooses to opt out, it isn't like it wasn't offered to them. If it's making a hardship for the majority of the members, we'll call them, or employees, if they wanna opt out, they chose to, you know, and do they keep their insurability that if their picture changes, they can still come in, then they're in and they can take advantage of the
That's the not,
benefit from the city?
that's the not knowing, John, that we don't know about those 6 people. That's why I'm not comfortable moving everybody over
I
into a
think
plan.
you're missing something. He's talking about the people that don't take insurance.
Oh, okay.
Right.
You-
Right, you know, if they make a decision to opt out, then it's riling up the whole rest of the crew or the rest of the employees, you know, they chose to opt out, but, you know,
Yeah.
can they ensure their insurability with the city where if their picture changes, for whatever reason they're opting out, they're not opting out to go without health care.
Right.
You know, and if their picture changes, they can come back into the fold and
Right.
we won't scorn them.
Yeah. I understand what you're saying, I just think that that's such a cost, you see,
You know, because I-
$19,000.
You guys are
And-
doing a hell of a job in trying, I can't believe you're talking this long about it, trying to find the right niche for
You know,
everyone.
if
So
you
why
say,
would
if you say $19,000 and now they opt in, I mean, that's a huge budget hit.
So
You have 5 of those people, that's an extra 100,000 we have to come up with.
what motivates them not to be insured? Do
To
they
have a
save
spouse
money?
with better insurance.
Or do they save, pure premium? Is there a savings for them if not?
Not
I can't
necess-
speak to
Yeah,
everyone's
I don't know what the
situation.
cases are, but.
Well, yeah, they might have better insurance with a lower.
But they don't get anything from the city for not taking it, Angela.
Right.
Right.
No,
But they don't have to, do
But
they
it's available
cost
if they
share
need it.
insurance? There
What's
must be a motivation if they don't take it. They must-
Generally, I would say, Gary, it's probably premium related, where they're getting better premium rates through their spouses.
So instead of
insurance.
paying here, they pay there for less
Right.
maybe. So there's a,
Right.
they have a incentive not to be on
Right.
A little.
And I think that the compensation package should be fair. I mean, you look at this sheet here, I mean, there's a vast, and don't tell me that they got education and stuff. If we paid for all the education, they don't have nothing invested in it. We do, as the governing bodies. I just think we need to square things up a little bit.
I guess, is there any possibility, if decision isn't gonna be made tonight, that we could meet again next Wednesday and finally have answers to these questions, so we can move
It's okay with me.
It's okay with me too, but could we meet, you know, like
Let's do it at 5.
at like 5?
Yeah.
Actually, I'm not gonna be in town.
Oh, that's not good then.
How about
Pick
next
a different
Tuesday or
Tuesday,
Thursday?
Thursday?
No,
Tuesday I will be.
Tuesday,
That works for me.
I'll be here Tuesday.
Monday, Tuesday.
Monday.
Monday.
they both
And if
work
we
for
get a
me.
little later, then it's no big deal.
No big deal.
That sounds good.
Wednesday through Friday I'll
Monday or
Monday?
Tuesday sounds
I know
good.
where you're gonna be Tuesday,
be gone.
at a council meeting.
Yeah.
Does Monday, if Monday works for everybody at 5 or 5:30, Rob?
Tuesday 5, Tuesday or Monday at 5.
Either one works for me.
Tuesday's good for me, but either one would work if I had them. Yep.
Angela's got a volleyball game, so.
It doesn't start
Oh,
till
okay.
later. 5's fine.
Okay.
If we're not
Tuesday at
done by
5?
7,
Cause Monday's okay too.
21st or 22nd.
Tuesday at 5?
Okay with me?
is there other questions that we have that we need more answers to? If there are, please reach out to Chad or Angela the next day or so. So they can reach out to all of us probably by the weekend. If there's information, more information. Molly?
I'm good.
You start talking about a stipend, well, if anyone knows my situation, I like the idea a lot. And you're offering something that I've already got from my wife. So who's to say that if you don't offer me a stipend, if she's paying that or if I'm paying it, what's the difference? It all comes to the same family. I love the idea of a stipend. I think it's only right. Why should someone else, because they take it, no matter what your spouse is doing, basically get more than someone else because their wife has the insurance? That's where I stand on it. There's nothing to say that if we go to the Wisconsin insurance system, that if you don't offer me a stipend, I tell my wife, we're gonna go with the city of Arcadia, you drop it through the county, she brings home more, I bring home less, but we still got the same insurance.
Right, and it costs us.
And I mean, that's kinda dirty,
But.
downright dirty,
There are,
but
there are
it is
a lot
what
of
it is.
companies out there that if you don't take insurance, you get X amount per
Right.
year.
You do? Okay. I know at the
she
schools-
doesn't.
At the school system, you didn't.
And there's private
Yeah, I went
industry
for
that
years,
does.
because my wife was on the county plan, and I didn't take the insurance through WA at Black River, so I didn't get anything.
Yeah, the schools do not do that,
Right.
or most school positions.
You know, Raleigh, for the sake of conversation, my wife is disabled. There is no other option for me.
Right?
I can't go on hers. I'm damn thankful for what we have, regardless, you know.
Right, and I'm
I
not
don't- I
saying
don't
I'm
want
gonna
you to
play
get
that
any
card,
less.
John.
I don't want you to get any less of a benefit package from the city, but evidently you didn't need it if you can get it, if you're getting the equal care somewhere else, or you could switch the chairs around, that, you can make your own decisions. But that's why I say again, I don't envy you folks, I mean, the council and commission.
All I'm
This
saying
is
is when
tough.
it's all said and done, down the road, that it should be fair to both employees. Ultimately, when it's all added up and all the numbers are figured out, it should be fair to each employee. And if I don't take it, then I should get more than what the other person takes. That's just the way it works. And if I don't, then if I wanna be, for lack of a better word, an ass about it, I'll have her cancel it and I'll come on here and you guys can pay 19,000. I don't wanna be that guy, I'm not being that guy, I'm just saying what could happen.
Right. Well, I understand that point of it.
I worked for a company years ago that if we didn't take health insurance, the company gave us money for not being on their health plan because we actually costed them more by having health insurance through them. So they said, hey, we'll give you this dollar amount because you're not gonna be on your plan, because my wife at the time had way better health insurance than what they were offering. So I was one of those that opted out of their insurance to go with my spouse's insurance.
Well, and on the other hand, a place that I used to work said if your spouse has health insurance, they have to take it there, they can't come on our plan.
I'm not in favor of a stipend, you know that, we've discussed this before. It wouldn't rattle my cage if the rest of you decided to go with that, but I won't vote for a stipend.
The only good thing about that is that if for some reason they come back on, it's legal to just quit. I think you can't take money away if you give money, I don't know for sure, but if you give money, you just can't take it away when you get back on insurance. They might do a switch on you with a stipend, you can just cancel the stipend and that nullifies it, so, you have to consider, I guess.
I mean, well,
I think if
the
they're,
big things that have to be decided are, how much does the city and the commission want to, help the employees with the deductible? And then, the raise. That's the way I feel, as though it's going to be two separate things, unless I'm reading it wrong.
so I know you probably mentioned it before, but the deductible increase, what does that cost per employee? Or per city, or, I know we discussed last time and I kinda lost track of it. I told Fritz one day, I said, I'm not really an insurance man, honest to God, but I'm trying to get my head around it.
I had it jotted down on the spreadsheet I had, I thought it was,
But are you talking like to the employee, what that would mean next year, or
Uh,
what were they paying
No,
this
to
year?
the council, to the general fund. You know, are we talking big dollar amounts, or is it somewhat?
to the general fund, it was, 16, 9,000, $10,000.
More than what they're funding?
More than
So
what they're
$500
funding.
employee roughly?
And that's
Employees?
if everybody were to max out using it, but again, statistically, from an insurance standpoint, they're only saying 25 to 30% of that is actually used every year. Cause some employees may not use it at all, they may never go to the doctor, they may never take prescriptions, they may not need that reimbursement, so.
So I guess maybe my next question is that about 25 cents an hour per employee? That it would go up? Just so you get an idea of what the numbers would be for wage
If they
increases.
used it all, it'd be closer to $1, cause you're talking
Okay.
about $2,000 difference.
2,080 hours.
Yeah,
Yep.
almost $1 an hour.
So then there's that to consider.
Well, I think we can put in a spreadsheet of different dollar per hour raises and see what it does, see where that comes out, and we can send
It
it out
helped
by,
kinda,
send it out by Friday or something, so everybody can kind of take it out over the weekend and more prepared, Monday or Tuesday, whatever works, Tuesday.
Actually, I apologize, I'm going to a conference next week. I'll be traveling to Green Bay on Tuesday night, so if you want me here, if we could move it from Tuesday to Monday. Otherwise, if you guys can handle it without me, I can.
Well, no, it'd be nice to have you here, Jack, that's why we hired you. You can't leak out on this now.
Yeah, this is the good stuff.
It's tough here in the Green Bay.
Or I can travel really late Tuesday night, which is no big deal either, so, but.
Do all the employees pay into their insurance equal amounts?
Yes. Well,
Well,
depending if they're family or single or not.
80% of the
Yes.
premium, so
Yeah.
it's
Within
But
their,
yes, the same percentage.
within their group, they're all the same.
or 20%.
Correct.
Sure.
Any other questions? I know Raleigh's usually gotta get out of here by 6, so.
I guess I just wanna know, what's gonna prevent this from next year? Are you guys gonna be on top of it, so we're not in the
What-
same boat next
Yeah,
year?
and that's what came up, Amy, that's a great question, because that's what came up at the last meeting is, I agree with you that people opted out. However, we can't leave people hanging
I
and
get that point,
making
but I
brash
just wanna know what
decisions.
prevents it next year
Well, I
from
think
this
because
not
we
happening
know,
again.
we know they can't get on, we know where the percentages fell a lot higher. They're using, WEA's using, or their consortium's using half of the funds just to cut it down, cause it was what, closer to 12%, where those dollars are gonna be out. So if we switch, the city put in $30,000 into this consortium. You know, if we'd walked away this year, we just walked away from $30,000, which that's not financially sound either. So, I mean, we kinda wanna stand and get some of our dollars back out of it. But I think we have to be better prepared, so when we get these numbers in October, yeah, and you know, everybody's every county and city's they're at the insurance company's mercy. Shouldn't even just business in general. They come out right before the budget, and then you're stuck with, what do you do for the next year?
Sure. When you mentioned the marketplace, that's the Affordable Care Act?
Correct. There is, I know Robin wants to get going here, but there is a workaround to those employees and getting them, if they were to so choose, get back into Wisconsin retirement. There is talking with WRS, there is a way that other places have been able to circumvent that criteria of not being able to get back on, but that could be another discussion, just.
Well, Frank, would that depend on if they were high risk or whatever too?
Nope. The group plan that
Okay.
they have, they don't have a
All right.
existing condition
Okay.
thing, so.
Is there anything else that needs to be covered with the commission? I don't believe so.
Motion adjourned?
Motion by Gary, second by Tim. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
We can go for a couple of minutes to final.
And thanks again.
Thanks for coming, it's nice to have people in here.
Warmed it up a little.
Are we confirmed for Monday or Tuesday?
So there is chair for you.
It doesn't matter to me.
I'm okay either way too. Yeah,
I know.
sure.
Thanks for coming down.
The only thing, Chad, if it gives you an extra
Monday at 4 is better.
No, it doesn't matter, this Monday's on
can't
free.
be here.
Yeah, I mean, I
Okay, not yet.
could, but I don't want to be driving to Green Bay.
Come in later.
I could, but I don't really want to be driving to Green Bay at 8 o'clock at night.
Wanna be doing that with the deer.
With the deer and stuff,
Let's just do it Monday. Monday at 5.
so. That works out better, I think.
I mean, this is neat.
I know you're gonna be here.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, and I see we all have the same.
My insurance was I don't have to go to Whitehall for that.
Oh, whatever.
You know, passed away.
But now you throw $20,000.
Let's bring that up.
Just pound it in.
I get what you're saying.
Just pound it in. You know.
Our wife was paying attention.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
See you tomorrow.
People controlling destiny can't change it. then
Okay.
Maybe we need to change it.
Good night.
8B,
Period.
Why do you have all time?
8B Trumbull County Humane Society.
Angela's
I'd
got
entertain
that
a motion to approve.
Yes, if anybody's ever dealt with stray dogs, be glad you got a place to go.
So moved.
Motion by Feltus, is there a second?
Sure, second.
I took 7 in one night one time.
Amazing.
Different ones.
Comments, questions? I don't think anything's changed from the previous 2 years contract. Clerk will call the roll.
Conrad,
Yes.
Feltus,
Yes.
Sensala,
Yeah.
Mazak,
Yes.
Holstead. Yes.
8C, discussion and possible action on the Jewel Engineering Agreement for Gavaney Road.
So moved.
Who was our,
Motion by Feltus, is there a second?
I'll second that.
By Colstead.
who was our council representatives on that committee?
Yeah.
Did you partake in any meetings?
Yeah.
With
Yes.
Every one of them.
Since we all met?
No, we have not met since then.
Okay.
The Jewel contract has gone between the county, us, our attorney.
Okay, I was just wondering where we were at with that, if there was any surprises coming.
There was
our
no
way.
surprises coming. I'll say we kind of backburnered it because we knew it wasn't gonna be done
Yeah.
by the end of the year.
Yep.
And we wanted to make sure the contract was put right, but since then, we have not met. And it's Joel, myself, and, Gary Bouch from the Utility Commission. So hopefully it'll be done
Call the question.
Yeah, I think that the town just has to approve it, but I think,
It would be in our best interest to get it done right away, early 2020.
Absolutely.
Clerk will call the roll.
Feltes,
Yes.
Sensala.
Yep.
Mason,
Yes.
Holston.
Yes.
Conrad.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item D, we'll start with the first one, which is the sandbag. Joe, do you wanna give a little thing you handed out the last, maybe 2 meetings ago?
Well, it's just another tool for us to use in the time of our need, and if we rely on the one from Whitehall Sand up there,
Yep.
we're like number 4 in line to get it.
And the cost was,
The cost of this,
yep,
you don't have it. It's $12,336.44. And when we need it, time is at the most urgent. Because from American Valley to Fox Street Bridge there is about 30 to 40 minutes before the water gets there.
No, the highest water takes 6 hours, ain't it,
No.
Cal? Or 4 hours?
Not from American Valley.
not from American.
I don't know.
What did Mark say that night?
Mark Farron told me it takes 20 to 30 minutes from American Valley to where it hits the bridge.
I don't know the time frame. I know it's roughly 8 to 12 hours from Independence to Arcadia.
Yeah. But
Is there a patent on this?
yes, there is.
So if we had one built, we'd be in trouble?
I don't think you could have one built cheaper.
Is that something that actually would consider splitting cost on?
My opinion is, and we really need it for city residents, and if we start looking at donations,
Right.
other entities are gonna wanna use it first.
Right. And I don't wanna lose any Christmas cards when I say this, but if you, I watched and use this in Whitehall at the hot mix, or at the county shop. If you're gonna buy one of these, you're gonna have to have the sand from the sand mine works the best, especially if you can get a dry load. If you get some sand with too much 200 in it, it is a nightmare.
That's 200.
Clay.
Okay.
What about river sand?
Uh-huh.
If it's dry, I think wet
Yeah,
river
well-
sand fucking locks up too. Sorry.
You can't use them words in here.
All right, that's it.
Feel free to quote 'em.
we'll beep it out with our editor.
But I'm
I
just
schooled
saying.
my kids for swearing. I think I need to get after somebody on the council for swearing.
I think that if you're gonna buy this thing, do we have a avenue, because wet river sand does not work with the hood either. The dry stuff from the sand mine works wonderful, just because it flows like flour.
Well, maybe that's,
Diana and Jeff, do you guys have comments as well?
If we use this, it would be for not in the hour of need. It's gonna be pre-planning, so we have it done ahead of time, sitting on pallets. Okay? Cause if we need sandbags in the hour of need, we're behind the 8 ball. The only time we have to rush with sand at the hour of need is when we shut the gate. And we dump loads on there, right, Raleigh? Plastic and then sandbag the top. Alright, if we're gonna do this, I talked with High Crush Sand, and they have it, it's stored in Blair. And if we pre-bag with the Sandmaster that they have, we can jointly do it with other fire departments and pre-plan and palletize it and store it wherever we can. Whether that be at the city shop, which is challenged for space to begin with, or the city spends money on a container and we store it in a container somewhere that's stored. That's my opinion.
That's the time of need, when we discussed this prior, the last year, it takes, what was it, Joe, 7 to 8 guys just to run the machine and tie the bags and get everything stacked in a timely manner, right?
yeah.
I don't know, I just watched the YouTube clip.
Okay.
Well, this is definitely gonna involve the fire department, because operations department doesn't have enough manpower to do it.
Right, cause you're gonna have 1 or 2 guys down at the pump.
So,
I mean, there's just other
This is just another tool to keep our city safe.
May I ask the street superintendent a question?
Dana's husband, yes.
Yes. If we would get this rent or use this machine, borrow it, whatever, would there be times of the year where you would have downtime where your guys could do a bunch of bags?
I'll answer this question. I got three things, okay? First thing, would it be nice to have? Absolutely. In the time of need, like Jeff says, you got, back in 2010, everybody's seen it. There was people coming out of Ashley, there was groves of people looking to do sandbags. It would be awesome. Second thing, we've got a truck that can haul a container that could hold 700 bags. That's what I roughly figured. And for about 4,500 bucks, we can buy the frame and buy a box to put on that truck. And I've already got a platform built for it, because I was planning on doing this before this Army Corps project came through. Which leads me to the third thing. With the Army Corps project, if it's gonna happen, if it's not, I think we're all, 50-50 right now? We don't know. But if the Army Corps project goes through, and this internal drainage pumping, whatever that is, with Strand, you guys know all them initials.
EDA grant.
If that all goes through, is there gonna come a day in Arcadia when we don't have to worry about sandbags?
I hope so.
So I'm not shooting Joe's idea down, but I think we could spend $4,500, which is about a third, to build a container to put 700 bags in. And I don't know how many you're talking about storing. I mean, if you start talking about storing 10,000 sandbags, you're gonna have to ask Ron for one of his warehouses down here.
You know what happens
Just
to
the way
the
it is.
sandbags when they sit though? They crack.
If you buy the correct bags and you keep them dry, they do not.
And out of the
I had bags in the shed up there by us for 6 years, and they were perfect.
I know
Because you
that.
put dry sand in them, and you buy the correct bags.
I know we have bags down there in the trailers and take them out and.
You grab them and they fall apart.
Yeah.
That's real handy.
I'm not saying that don't happen, but you just gotta do it right. It's gotta be dry, 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 dry. That's the key. And you put them in the tray, in that container, and when we need them, wherever we need them, the truck is right there. I can have that thing on the truck in 2 minutes and down the road.
So, okay, my question, you said it would hold how many sandbags? About 700?
There,
Cause it
what
comes
did
down
I?
to weight.
Yeah, 700
Oh,
for
okay.
weight wise.
Okay, so my question is, how many sandbags would we really need pre-filled? I mean, is 700 even a dent in the?
No, I
Well,
mean, the utility stores their own, electric utility,
Right.
correct?
Okay, and I'm not shooting anybody's idea down, but for 4,500 bucks, you could buy 3 of them containers and set them somewhere. For $13,500.
You'd
And
have
you'd
enough,
have
you have
20
enough strength on that arm to pull that much weight down.
40,000 pounds. And I'll guarantee you it'll lift 50.
And let's not max it out, or over max by 20%.
Well, it's built to 125%, so that's 50,000.
And the floor in those containers will only hold 24.9. On the containers I see down there, the tag on them. Floor rating 24.9.
I'm not talking a container there, I'm talking about having the guy in Ridgeland, Wisconsin, that's where we had the box built for that truck, build you a frame. And you can put cross members every 8 inches if you want it.
Oh, for the, you're
And then you just put a floor in it. You don't even need to, then you just buy one of these moving company or U-Haul vans that come off an old truck and you bolt it onto that thing and away you go. You can buy them things if you look in the truck trader, you can buy them boxes for 1,500 bucks.
You're talking a special built container.
I'm talking a special built
Frame.
frame. If I remember right, the frame for that box that we built in 2013 was 2,500 bucks.
Okay, I mean, either way, I think we need to have more somewhat on hand, however they're filled. Because in a time of need, I agree that everybody's running every which way, and people are calling me wondering how they can get their hands on stuff. You know, and our first option is to protect the city properties, whether it's the utility building, whether it's the pump station, you know, but they're still wondering where they can get bags.
This is something I proposed that we put it in the budget, and if we needed to cut it, or needed to cut money out of the budget,
Yep,
this
yep.
could be cut.
I understand, and I agree, and I know we talked about doing fundraiser, and that's why I stated the way I did, because we'd end up being last on the list.
Well, you know, our responsibility as a city is to protect our infrastructure properties, like you stated. That's our goal.
Right, and it would be nice to have stuff, some pre-filled to help out people in a time, you know, if it comes to that. And we have previously, I think we've done a good job, it's just a matter of getting our hands on them. We all know who those individuals are, I don't need to say that, you know, to help people out.
So my question is, where would this line item get put in, what budget item?
Off the top of my head, I'd say emergency management.
What do you got, 500 there?
Yeah, but you could move from somewhere else, but that would be my, because it is emergency management. I mean, could we go to the utility commission and say, hey, you know, we're helping protect your, as well as that, you know, can you help pull some of your money to put into the budget to cover it? That's what I would do, because but they store, and they have a lot of pre-made bags for electric heat. But, you know, if we could help Pilgrim's Pride, you know, they have a bunch of employees that come and help them out, but boy, they pay a heck of a lot of taxes in the city as well, that if we could help them, you know, then, I mean, they're pretty good that they would also reciprocate and help us at the time too, but I'm not comfortable asking for donations for stuff like that. Just because in a time of need, you know, you leave the person out who has a small home and needs the usage, that's not fair. Not where we're going. Even though we have probably different opinions, all of us, about how it works, but, I mean, we could try to squeeze it in and talk to the utility commission and see where it goes.
That'd be great if you put it with the utility commission.
And, cause really, it's a benefit for us, for our infrastructure.
Well, here's another question though, if we get this, for some reason, Raleigh being targeted.
Well, I think we would
Right?
we'd have to do some training or cross-training or something.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And, I mean,
In a time of need, we're not gonna have people to run this thing, point blank. Fire department's busy, Raleigh staff's busy, we'd have to find and figure that out and coordinate it. Is that where you're going with this?
exactly, but we'd have to do this all ahead of time, because like I said before, in the time of need, you don't do it, so you'd have to schedule time in evenings or weekends to get fire department guys or whoever's gonna come and help do this. And fill these bags and palletize them, that's the work, is getting the bags off of that, putting them on the pallets the correct way, tied the correct way, and then move them around and store them to wherever we're gonna store them.
That's the other thing, where are you gonna store 'em? You know,
Yeah, and to store 700 bags, that sounds nice, but that's 700 more than you.
Yeah.
I'd like to find a.
you're gonna put 40 on a pallet, so you're gonna have how many pallets? If you stack them in this wagon, like I'm talking, this thing, you can just stack them in there. You can buy them with a door on each side and a door in the back. You pull up somewhere and people can be unloading them 3 different ways. Because either way, whether you buy one or you rent one or you use the one, you still gotta store them.
Right.
Where are you gonna store all them pallets? There ain't no way I got room for them. I try to keep 300 on hand and that's about it. That's 9 pallets. So,
Well, maybe we could work out the logistics of storing them on the new water plant or the electric up there.
Tim won't let you, there's way too much equipment in that electric building to store anything like that.
But how?
I'm just here to say it.
Do we have a place where we could get some containers like you see come into town here? They say Sealand on them, or they say.
Crazy Phil can get you them.
How much are them?
A 20 footer's like $2,500, $3,000, and the other one's 4,500 or something like that.
For 48
I looked
footer?
into that a few years ago, but I don't remember the numbers for sure. That's a 40. They're either 20s or 40s.
So if we did that, can you go in there with a skid steer with forks to get the pallets out?
Sure.
Or just at one pallet down the center, you got,
But like our skid steers can haul 2,100 pounds. Well, if the bags, they're about 35 pounds a piece. So you're only gonna get 35 of them on there.
see, this is all.
You're not gonna get many. If you palletize them, you're not gonna get many in a container like that. If you stack them in there, spend one day with fire department, street department, whatever, and stack 700 a minute, you
Right,
know.
but in the time of need, it sure would be nice if they were on a pallet, cause otherwise you're loading them on a, you know,
You hand load them onto a different vehicle,
Right.
then you're offloading them on another vehicle.
Yeah, I know that.
Alright.
But the beauty of
Well,
that
let's
is
see
you
if we
can
can-
take it wherever you want with the
Obviously
truck we
something for
got.
some more discussion, again. Fire budget.
Is that something you want us to add in as a line item on the budget?
I mean, we
then,
could just
or-
leave it as a, net-
I'll motion to approve that.
as an outside item. And if we have the dollars, you know, it'll depend where raises are, it'll be, depend what we wanna do with other stuff we talked about earlier, so.
So move.
Motion for the fire budget, is there a second? My motion was by Conrad. Is there a second? By Mazak. By Mazak. Jeff, you wanna explain?
Zero increase.
That's what we like.
Nice.
I'd like to compliment you and your strategic team for getting that done.
I don't think they need all that fancy stuff.
Give him.
Looks like
Is this ambulance?
Yeah. Questions, comments? Nothing? 0% is good, Jeff.
Jeff does a nice job there, without question.
Clerk will call the roll.
Sensala.
Yep.
Mazak.
Yes.
Holsted.
Yes.
Conrad.
Yes.
Feltes.
Yep.
Motion carries. Ambulance budget, which was just handed out. I would not expect a motion to approve since we just got it and we are meeting on Monday night, so.
I sit on this board, the per capita stayed the same, it went up a little bit. They're gonna start utilizing, the cost per capita stayed the same, but there actually is an increase. And part of that has to do with, they're gonna start utilizing paramedic. The paramedics we have working here now could only perform as, what is it, does you know that, is it not intermediate, but what it, advanced. But they're gonna, and the medical director from Whitehall's all good with signing off on it, so we will be running with paramedic service. Which, being 19 miles from the hospital, nearest hospital, is kinda nice, a nice option. And it was unanimously agreed upon at the ambulance board meeting to do this by all municipalities.
We'll give you a couple minutes to look it over, but I don't expect there to be we don't need to act on it tonight. And I don't like to hand stuff out at a meeting and not be acted on. I will do I mean, I will say, I think, just as a quick notice, we have 2 assistant directors, full-time assistants, and a part-time. It seems like that's an awful lot of administration, exactly. I mean, that's 34 $34,000, almost $55,000 in administration. You don't have to answer that, Joe, or Fritz.
I think it'd be worth your time to have that conversation with Cletus.
Well, should we invite him to Monday night's meeting?
Sure. Unless I'm the only one, but I mean, if I'm the only one, but
I was looking at that same thing.
he doesn't have enough cause anymore.
What doesn't?
No,
No.
he said he loves it too.
Well,
Cause I can't answer for that, to be honest with you.
Deb is the director, Bridget is one of the assistants. Who's the
Bridget,
third?
I believe, is she, I think she's got hurt on a call. So I don't know if that's part of that, or what.
To me, it just seems like a lot. Obviously, we're the largest payer out of the group.
So Deb is the
Part-time director,
part-time director, okay.
I'm guessing. And then there's two full-time
Time
assistant
assistants.
directors. I mean, to me, if we had one full-time director or one part-time director, I think. I don't know enough about what goes on, would be enough, but I also know there's stuff that every department does that, whether it's the police, whether it's the fire, whether it's the ambulance, that you don't see.
So it'd be nice if we had someone here that could answer those questions, so we know what we're voting on.
And I think another question that should be asked is how much is billed back and how much are we in the red for? Can you answer that?
That was a couple weeks ago, but
no, they don't get paid.
they do life quests, but there's a lot of fish that get off the hook.
A lot.
Oh,
I mean, it is, you know, I mean,
They
It's hard
should
to
look-
track
Wait,
about it.
what?
We gotta get the
They
news.
should look at state debt collection.
What's that?
They should look at state debt collection,
I think
where
they
you can
have,
garnish,
but
you can garnish wages and stuff through the Department of Revenue.
if they knew who they were, that would be a good place to start.
Leave it at that. All right, yeah, if we can get a hold of, if he can't be at the meeting on Monday, it'd be nice to have him at the following meeting. Because we would need to pass this sooner the better.
Motion to table?
I don't need a motion. Actually, we didn't have a motion to approve, so.
Okay, fine. Let's move
So
on.
come with your questions, so he doesn't sit there and doesn't. Item 8E, discussion of possible action on a bid for $235,000 general obligation promissory note for the city match on the internal drainage project. And entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
I felt it, is there a second? By Conrad, or Sensala, sorry. He stood up and I saw him. Angela, you wanna give a little brief you gave me just before the meeting in regards to this?
Yes, so you might be wondering, we had talked about $275,000, and we actually bid it out for $235,000. We had about $50,000 in a welcome to Arcadia sign account that was, moved to the internal drainage project, and we've spent that money on expenses this year, we can include that as match for the grant, and so we don't have to borrow as much. So we bid it out to the three banks in the credit union and the State Bank of Arcadia and Wamedy State Bank. We got one bid back from Wamedy Bank. The interest rate 3.25%. That interest rate actually matches the.
It was higher than that.
It was. But they matched the Commissioner of Public Lands also has loans available to municipalities. Wamedy State Bank matched that rate of 3.25%. So staff is recommending that the council borrow or approve this
Nope.
interim financing. The interest due, the goal is to take that money out. We took a 2-year note, but to prepay it after next year when we have the tax settlement in August from the tax increment district, it will be paid from tax increment revenues. If we do that, if we have it paid in full by 11/1 of 2020, the interest will be $7,552.64. And that is, we have to have that money secured in an account in order to move ahead with the grant agreement for the internal drainage project.
Comments, questions?
Get her done.
Clerk will call the roll.
Mezek.
Yes.
Kolstad.
Yes.
Conrad.
Yes.
Feltes.
Yes.
Sensala.
Yep.
Number 9A, approved bills in general account, the amount of $135,094.65. Motion
Second.
by Sensala. Second by Feltes. Questions?
Yeah, what do we pay interpreters?
An hour?
Yeah, do we pay them by hour, or do we pay them by
It's-
call, or?
By hour, it's usually $30 to $45 depending on who it is.
Okay.
Any other question? Clerk will call the roll.
Kolstad.
Yes.
Conrad.
Yes.
Feltes.
Yes.
Sensala.
Yep.
Mezek.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 9B, approval of the school district pay request number 12 for the library in the amount of $50,404.21. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
By Conrad, is there a second? By Sensala. Questions?
Yes.
We'll try to answer them.
Are these added costs? Then what?
Above and beyond?
No, it's
Above
not
and
a
beyond.
change order.
No, it's not a change order.
Okay, so this is part of the agreement
Right.
that we made,
Correct.
okay. But they're just breaking it down for
Right,
us?
so we've only paid as the bills have came in and what
Okay.
our percentage of that bill has been.
Okay.
That's why there's been so many of them. We didn't just give them a check
Right,
for that amount.
Right.
We held off until our parts were done and that percentage was broke out.
okay,
So yeah, it seems like every other meeting we're getting a pay request, but that's how it was.
okay.
I just think that the person that wanted the etched stone mural should have paid for it himself.
Clerk will call the roll.
Excuse my, God, sorry.
Conrad.
Yes.
Feltes.
No.
Sensala.
Yep.
Mezek.
Yes.
Kolstad.
No,
Motion carries. Operator licenses.
So move pending background checks.
Motion's been made, is there a second?
Sure, second.
By Mezek.
Only for one of these people.
Clerk will call the roll.
Feltes.
Yep.
Sensala.
Yep.
Mezek.
Yes.
Kolstad. Yes. Conrad.
Motion carried. We'll have a meeting on Monday at 5 o'clock. Probably, maybe we should do it in the utility building. Just gives everybody a little bit more room. We might have more participants next time. That's all right with everybody here?
sure.
Just make sure the utility commission knows. Otherwise, our regular meeting will be the 6th. I mean, we're gonna meet Monday, but then we won't meet again until the 6th.
I was on the street the other day, this is for future agenda item. And I haven't had a chance to talk to Eva, cause I've been extremely busy, but her park and rec vehicle, it looks pretty good yet, except for the passenger side door.
Okay.
And I'm wondering if we shouldn't try to find a white door and have that put on that truck.
If you wanna talk to her and then just bring it
Well, I
back
never-
of what the expenses
Well, I don't know when I'll get a chance to see
I'll
it.
give her a call.
you know, I mean, it'd be nice to preserve, cause I don't imagine she puts a lot of miles on it, but you don't want it looking like a,
Right.
It's getting rust through the roads.
She put 3,000 miles on it in a year and 2 weeks.
you know, but she needs a vehicle.
Right.
But I'd like to preserve it. if
So it's
you-
one oil change a year, basically.
How was the dike?
Okay, so it's this under.
We're talking,
We could talk to Tom on regards to
Chad and I.
entertain a motion to approve. Motion by Mazak, is there a second? By Sensala, clerk call the roll.
Well, we're gonna have to do something before spring. We're talking about doing it ourselves.
Sensala,
Yeah.
Mazak,
Yes.
Olsted,
Yes.
Conrad, Feltes.
Yep.
We should put that on the
I drove by on
November
my scooter and I know